Welcome to another video of Tech for E-commerce leaders. Today we are going to see what happens behind the scene when rendering a web page in your browser. Have you ever thought that in a split second, millions of instructions are executed to fulfill this operation? Let's explore the process. Once you click on a link or type a URL in the browser starts to break that URL into different segments. With this, it identifies some vital information to execute the rest of the process. If you double click on your browser address bar, at the beginning of the URL, you can see HTTP or HTTPS. This is a protocol, a set of accepted instructions by the world of IT. Then comes the domain name, which is used to determine the location of the server where the content of the website is hosted. Following that are the URL segments and parameters, which are used to determine which content of the website need to be returned. Although it's not visible in every URL, there's something called a port, which default to 80 for HTTP or 443 for HTTPS. Let's think of the server as an apartment complex, and the port is as more of an indication of which entrance you should take to enter the complex. Apart from this, it will understand the method of your web URL. If you fill in some information and click a button on a web page, it uses post method. If you just click a link, it's a get method. Now, since we have all the information to find the content of the website, let's see the process of fetching the data. First step is to find the digital address of the server. This is done through the DNS server. Let's think of a DNS server as an Excel sheet with two columns that have the domain name and the IP address against each record. Once it fetches the IP address using the domain name, it knows where it needs to forward the request. Then it creates a connection between server and the browser called TCP connection. Assume it like having a virtual guide who help you know where to go and come back. So if it is an HTTP request, it is also implements an additional layer of security with a protocol called TLS. This is like being guided by a well-trained special force militant, making it challenging to interfere with your journey. That's why you shouldn't post your vital data if you see URL only with HTTP. Now the connection is established and the browser sends an HTTP request to the server. This request has sections like request line and header. If it is a post request, it will have a body as well. Inside the header, you send information like cookies and some other details. One use case of these cookies is to identify each person's session. Then the request reaches to the server and dumps the instruction into the port. Don't be confused here. We call this computer a server because it has a program called server running it. This program listens to port, and as soon as it sees a request coming in, server fetches that information dumped into the port and uses the predefined configuration to forward the request to the website code we built and deploy on the server. Once this request is executed, according to the instruction given in the code, it generates content, mainly HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. This response is written back to the port and forward back to the browser using established connection. Once the browser receives this request, it starts to render the page. Your site structure and the content are defined by the HTML. The length and width of each components and style like colors are defined by CSS. Things like animation and dynamic contents are handled by JavaScript. Once the browser successfully renders the page and loads the relevant resources, it disconnects the connection it made after some time if it doesn't receive any request within the time. So that is a high level view of what is happening after you request a URL from the browser. I hope this helps you to picturize the process and deal with your development team with better understanding. I'm Mudita Idiriveera, the founder of NeoSolax. We have more than a decade of experience in Magento and e-commerce website development, optimization, and hosting. If you want to learn more about rendering process or have any questions about your e-commerce website, you can reach out to me or my team at NeoSolax. You can find our contacts at the end of the video and in the description below. See you in another video. Till then, happy e-commerce.